A century of local history is now permanently on display in Tyler.
It is. Fred Douglass Lodge number 111 recently unveiled a new historical marker. It's outside the Prince Hall building. KLTV7's April Peardant shows us how the monument honors local trailblazers and celebrates more than 100 years of community service.
Right? All right.
This is a testament to the hard work of those who came before us.
This newly unveiled historical marker is far more than just a tribute to the past.
It's an honor to memorialize 106 years of Prince Hall Freemasonry in Texas by the example that they set, and to continue to keep on doing the work that we're meant to do for our communities and our families.
Past Master Daniel Sells says getting the monument for Fred Douglass Lodge number 111 took a massive effort. To win city approval for the monument honoring Tyler's first Prince Hall Masonic Lodge, members spent months researching historical archives.
We had to do some digging, had to do some history work.
And when it finally got approved,
I was shocked but excited. You know, you never really know how big something is until you get the approval for it.
For decades, the lodge has served as a center for civic, fraternal, and community activities, hosting organizations while also supporting neighborhood businesses.
I'm just thankful to have the opportunity to just be an instrument in this process, you know, just to be one of many that's a part of this wonderful order that we're a part of, to be a part of this.
The monument preserves the stories of local icons whose contributions laid the groundwork for Tyler's progress.
Brother Alvin Anderson being one of the first 3 black police officers in Tyler, Texas, and then the numerous works that Dr. Stinson has done in education for the city of Tyler through Texas College in numerous places.
Members view the milestone not as a finish line, but as a monument to expand their local outreach. April Peardant, KLTV 7 News.
Lodge members invite the community to stop by, see the new monument in person, and ask questions about their history directly. It's a cool place.